What's going on YouTube? Dai Gyakusatsu here, and today we're going to be doing my top 10 games of all time. That's right, I finally wrote down the list. I actually have this as a top 100 list, but I kept looking at it. I just feel like so many of these games were interchangeable. But if someone wants me to go over it, maybe I'll do it in a live stream or one of those hangout live streams one day. Because at that time, it'll probably be much different than what it is now. So, that being said, I'm just going to do top 10 right now. Actually, BioPhoenix just did his, so if you want to go check his out, most definitely do that, because he had an excellent list, and yeah, a lot of good games are on that list. But this is my list. I'm going to go over it, and we're going to talk about it, and not necessarily about the games, but why I love these games. It could be for multiple reasons why I like them, but yeah, let's get into it. At number 10, we have Baten Kaitos Origins. That's right, the one that's actually published by Nintendo. Now, the very first one was actually Baten Kaitos Eternal Wings, which I do have. I've yet to play it, but I played Baten Kaitos a good 10 years ago now, which it's an excellent game. I really love it. There's multiple reasons I love this game, you know, kind of already nostalgic reasons, you know, but overall, if you don't know, this game came out on the GameCube around 2004-ish, 2003-ish, around there. Like I said, I'm going to go off the top of my head. I'm not going to do any scripts or anything. I'm just going to go off why I like these games. The soundtrack is freaking amazing. Now, if you've played Smash Ultimate, you probably heard one of the OSTs in the game, so that's really cool as well that they had that Easter egg, because it was published by Nintendo. So, and if Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories did use this battle system for the card system, I probably would have finished Rechain of Memories, because this battle system is quite fluid. It's easy to understand. It's not clunky. It's pretty simple. It's fluid. The story is really good. From at least what I remember, it really drug me in, it hooked me in. I almost cried probably at a couple places, and I just really do love this game. I do love all the characters that were in it, all the main people that were in your team. I really did like that, and I feel like it is one of the better card-based battle systems ever, you know, and I'm bold enough to say that because that's my personal opinion. But yeah, I really do love this game. I don't think there's a card battle system that's any better. I mean, I have never actually played Magna Carta. Maybe that is actually a pretty good one, but this is the best one that I've personally played, and I'm holding by that. At number 9, we have Mario Kart 8. Now, it could be for the one for the Wii U or even the Switch version. I put multiple hours into both. I actually played a lot more on the Wii U version, but I've actually played with Uzumaki Khan back in the day, back in 2015, 2016, around that area. It was fun. But overall, I just had so much fun playing with this with friends. I've gone to a few Mario Kart tournaments. I did pretty good. I just, you know, it's already nostalgic, because if you got the Wii U version, it's almost, when was that, like 2014, 2013 when that came out? So it is pretty nostalgic already. I think the visuals, it looks freaking excellent. You know, even on the Wii U version, it was very fluid online. I never had disconnection problems. You know, some people might have, but I never did. Even on the Wii U version, the Switch, I never had disconnection problems. It's very fluid. It's just an amazing game. I think it's one of the better Mario Karts in my opinion. It's actually one of the few I actually got into. I did play some of the older ones, but I never really got into it this much. Could be due to the online and me being more sociable, going out to tournaments, having some group parties come over and we would play Mario Kart 8. You know, I did play the 3DS version, but this is my personal favorite one. I could even just do the cups by myself and still, you know, every once in a great while and still have a blast. That's how much fun this game is to me. You know, I don't know. I kind of wish they would add more characters to it, like kind of add more Smash characters, but it is just Mario Kart, it's not Smash Kart. So I guess I could understand why they don't, but the inclusion with a few others like the Splatoon characters, and who else did they add? You know, a few other characters they added, which is kind of nice. So I do like it. So number 8, we have Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, I think I played this back in 2006. I think this is one of the best Kingdom Hearts games, bar none. You know, Birth by Sleep was good. Dream Drop Distance was excellent. But I think this is the best one out of the whole series. 3 was the letdown. 1 was it hooks you in there, but you know, after going back and playing it several years later, it's not the best one, and it's very nostalgic, but it's still, you know, with game mechanics and all that, visually, even if you play on the PS2, it still holds up to this day in my personal opinion. I think it's just an excellent game. The soundtrack is freaking amazing. I knew several people that listened to the soundtrack and didn't even play the game, and it's just, the soundtrack is that renowned for normal people to just pick it up and play it at work or whatever the case may be. So Kingdom Hearts 2 is my personal favorite. You know, I guess maybe Dream Drop Distance was very close, which is weird because that is a 3DS game, and back then I really did not play many handhelds. I was more of a console person, or even something I could play on the big screen. I wasn't big into handhelds at that time, but 3DS did hook me into being more of a handheld gamer at the time. So that was back in 2011, around that period, 2010. So yeah, and I got to play some good JRPGs on there as well. So excellent system. I know I'm getting a little bit off topic, but let's move on before I get off rambling a little bit more. Number 7, we have one of our first visual novels. I think it's probably the only one. We have a visual novel on the top 10 list of games, and that's Danganronpa 2. Now, I've actually cosplayed as Mondo Owada with the Pompadour from the very first one. I remember cosplaying him back, was it 2016 or something like that? And no one knew who he was at the time. And people were like, "Oh, I love the Pompadour. Oh, I love the Pompadour. Who are you?" And I had to tell them, you know, it was a year or two later, people started to realize what Danganronpa was. But, you know, I've had that cosplay for, you know, I still like to cosplay him. I think 2017 was the last time I did cosplay as Mondo, but I think it's still one of my favorites because I could still, you know, wear the jacket, the coat, and it's still pretty cool. You could kind of wear that out in public and kind of look interesting. So, but no, I really love the story of Danganronpa. I love all the characters. I love the art style of Danganronpa. If you don't know, Akudama Drive just recently came out. Was it last year or a year before? Which it's the same mangaka. I'm not sure if she wrote the story, but it's the same artist that did the art style for Akudama Drive, which that's an excellent anime if you want to check that one out. But the game, if you have the choice to watch the show or the anime, definitely play the game for Danganronpa because you get to spend time with the characters, you get to explore around the school or the island, whichever one you know. It's just freaking fun. I love, and the soundtrack's actually pretty amazing too. I wouldn't say it's the best out of the, you know, this list, the soundtrack. You know, Kingdom Hearts would probably beat Danganronpa 2's soundtrack, and even maybe Ban Kaitos and even Mario Kart. But it's still, you know, not to put it down or anything, it's still an excellent soundtrack, no doubt about it. So Danganronpa 2 is an excellent game. If you love visual novels, you know, I kind of wish you can make decisions and stuff to change up the story and save some people, but you can't. I know they just released a collector's edition for the Switch. If people want to pick that up, I don't know if they sold out yet. It's like $99. I didn't want to pay for it because, one, I already had the games on the Vita, and so I just didn't want to rebuy them. Because I bought them for peanuts when they were on the Vita anyways. They were like below $20 when I bought them. So they're probably, I know they're quite expensive now, but if you want to track them down, I would say if you have a Switch, probably the best way to do it now. Maybe the PS4 version is probably the easiest. I don't know about the price right now, but definitely check out Danganronpa if you like visual novels. Or if you don't, I think this is a good entry into visual novels. If you don't like them, I think this is probably one of the better ones. Maybe 999, the non-honorary games, is excellent as well. But, you know, one of those are, you know, both published by Spike Chunsoft, of course. And definitely recommend you check either or out. But Danganronpa 2. Number 6, we have Rogue Galaxy. Now, this came out quite late on the PS2. I think it was 2005 or 2006 release. And not a lot of people actually picked it up. I think they only sold about 60,000 for the initial launch window back then, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been a little bit more. It wasn't considered a failure, but it wasn't considered a success either. So I think it was closer to being a failure, you know, than being a success. But I think they sold it enough to give it support on the PS4 to re-release it on the shop. So they did. I know more people got to play it then, but I think they should have. Did they release it on PSN? They should have done it a PSN game for a while. They should have. I mean, because it is I mean, it took me about 60, 70 hours. So if you like JRPGs, most definitely, you know, they use a kind of a shaded graphic visuals, and I think it makes the game age really well. I think the gameplay was pretty smooth, fluid. I think the story was great. I love the characters. I love the soundtrack, like Planet Xenar, something like that. I like Zegrim, the character. I like all of the characters. Excellent. You know, I loved exploring it. I know some people got lost in the tower. I forget what the tower's name is called. It's been a few years, but I really do like this game. I think you should definitely check it out. If you still have PS4, they probably still have it on there. If you could get a PS2 version. Unless you're worried about trophies, I don't really care about trophies. But if you want to get the trophies, they have trophy supports for the PS4 version, so that's a plus for some people. And no telling how long they're going to support the PS4 store. I know it's probably going to be like another year or two, maybe, if that. So definitely pick up the game if you just want to play it quick or in the next year or two, and don't, because once that takes down, the PS2 version's probably going to shoot up if it hasn't already. So definitely Rogue Galaxy, freaking great story. I played it right before the Xenoblade Chronicles first came out back in 2011, I think. And man, then I went into Xenoblade Chronicles. We're gonna get into that a little bit, so I guess that's a spoiler. But it was just like I was going into back-to-back amazing JRPGs after JRPGs at that time, and that's what I mean. Like, that was like my golden age of gaming, because there was so many games that came out during that time. There's great games that come out now, but when I was really balls deep into gaming, I was playing masterpiece after masterpiece. It was playing like Kingdom Hearts 2. For the next game, I'm going off on a little tangent and rambling here, but so let's move on to Radiata Stories for number 5. This game also came out quite late. I think it was also 2006, 2007, around there, maybe a little bit later. But I got this. I played this. I think I didn't get this till like 2010. They were still selling it. No, it wasn't. It was like 2008 or 2009, one of the two. But I remember it was still pretty late in the PS2. I know the PS3 was still pretty new at the time, and I was hoping to get a PS2, but I ended up getting this. I'm glad I did. Because it was only like $20 at GameStop, still brand new, sealed, and I'm glad I bought this game. I love this game. It's like a cel-shaded visuals. The soundtrack is great. Jack, the character, is kind of a pain in the beginning, but you start to like him. You like your party members, because you could add party members randomly almost. Sometimes you could. I think there's over 150 different party members you could add to your party if you want, and sometimes you have to track them down, and there's two different ends to the story, I believe. I only played one, but I mean, I could go back and replay the other side, and I would love that. Now that I think about it, I think it's, I'm bold enough to say it's better than most Tales games. I mean, I would say Symphonia's up there, Xelia's up there. I would say they're probably about even, but this game, you have different endings. You have two different endings, maybe more. But from my memory, there's two different endings. And so, I just really like it. I love the visuals. I like that. It felt really big, because yes, it wasn't a big 3D world, but you could kind of like go back and forth. It wasn't restrictive of where you could go into the game after a certain point. It was more like 2D, 3D, kind of like it wasn't 2D, but I'm trying to explain it, because there was 3D rooms, but when you're in the outer world, it kind of turns to like a 2.5D kind of, in a way. I'm not even sure what that would be called, but this game deserves to be in my top 5 games, no doubt about it. I just love this game. It's very underrated. Not many people talk about it, and I think it's better than most Tales games. I haven't played any of the newer Tales games, but I think I like it a little bit better than Xelia. I like it a little bit better than both Symphonias. Because honestly, I like Symphonias pretty much evenly. The first one was a little bit better, but I really like them both evenly. You know, I know a lot of people hate it too, but it's not as bad as Xillia 2. Fuck that game. Then we have Donkey Kong Country number 4. We're gonna put number 1 on number 4 because, you know, it's one of the most nostalgic games. It's not my first game. It's pretty close to being my first game. You know, playing the Super Nintendo, growing up. Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, Disney's Aladdin, bunch of other Super Nintendo games. Still, you know, just a freaking excellent platform. It still holds up to today. Looks better than most indie games they put out today for platformers, like visually. You know, I know a lot of indie games, they go for the 8-bit era, but, you know, they do use that special rendering for the visuals on Donkey Kong Country, which still makes it look freaking beautiful to this day. Dave Wise was the music producer, and he did an excellent job for the first and second. Even the third one, I think he only helped. I don't think he was the main guy. And it still was all right. It wasn't, you know, wasn't compared to the first or second by any means necessary, you know. Or I don't know why I put the necessary, but by any means, you know, it's still an excellent game. And I don't know, if you haven't played any of the Donkey Kong Countries, you could play the newer ones. They're fun. I know Dave Wives did come back to help with the soundtrack and the music production, but I think these games are a masterpiece, and the next generation would love them if you know, they would play them, you know, because, you know, people love, you know, platformers have came back in popularity the past 5-6 years. With indie titles and stuff like that. I know Trine 2 was one of the first ones to do it, like the people were talking about. That was like 6-7 years ago. And after that, it just kind of, you know, then you have Shovel Knight and Cuphead, you know. But Donkey Kong Country, I always liked Donkey Kong Country a little bit better than Super Mario World. Both excellent games, of course. But the thing about Donkey Kong Country, it's so fluid. The controls are so smooth. You don't really slide unless you're off in the ice world, you know. In some Super Mario worlds, you kind of have to like jump, slide, then jump back, because then you're gonna slide off the platform. So it's a little bit looser. Donkey Kong Country, it's just fluid. You jump, you land, you know, it's very fluid. You know, unless you're in the freaking snow level, and that's the one that I suck at. But you know, overall it was a pretty easy game. But the last couple times I played, I didn't beat it because I got pissed off at the snow level. I did end up getting past it, but I was just like, it was tedious. I lost like 10 lives, and I was just like, I streamed it the other, like, what was it, like a week ago, and I was getting so mad. But Donkey Kong Country, an excellent game. Number 3, we have Yakuza 5. I personally think this is the best Yakuza game, and that's a hot take. A lot of people love 6, a lot of people love 2, a lot of people love 0. They're all excellent games. I know, in my personal opinion, Kiwami 1 is the worst one of all of them. Because, of course, it was the first one. They just, you know, but it was still a great game. But, you know, Yakuza 5 takes the cake. It's one of the ones where you have the most to do, in my personal opinion. You have karaoke, you have... I think they brought... I don't know, there's just so much. The mini games, you know, you get to play as 4 different characters, and it's just excellent. I love the story, the soundtrack. It's one of the manliest games I've ever played. You know, enough to say, you know, you can't just... I mean, you could jump into it, but it takes like 100, you know, several hours to get to Yakuza 5 because you have to play 0 through 4 if you want the full Yakuza experience. If it might be too late, but if you get on to, you know, if you don't want to buy the PlayStation versions, which I did, but I also downloaded all the, you know, at least 3 through 5, 6 on PC because it was free on PC Game Pass, so I did that. I don't know if I'll ever play them, but because I have the PS4 versions. But it's just nice to have as backups just in case. So, but Yakuza 5, my favorite. I think, I mean, the story gets a little convoluted later on, but I don't know. It just has too much. I feel like it has one of the most mini games into it. Maybe I just felt like it because it was the one Yakuza game that took me the longest. I think it was over 100 hours that I put into it. Maybe it's in the 90-hour mark, but over 100 hours. I think it was over 100 hours. I think it would have been more if I did a little bit more, but there's just so much to do in this game. It's the longest Yakuza game, no doubt about it, because a lot of the Yakuza games, I think probably about 20 to 40 hours, besides the first, well, the first one I'd be in like 10 hours, you know. Yakuza 0, I probably took about 20 some hours, but maybe 30, but Yakuza 5, one of my favorites, you know, just freaking fun. Kiryu, Akihama, you know, I forget the other character's name, the baseball player, but it's my favorite one, no doubt about it. So, and plus you have the T set, you know, the Haruka becoming an idol, so you have more freaking cool songs to come out with it. Love Yakuza 5, no doubt about it. Number 2, we have Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, Xenoblade Chronicles, I talked about a little bit earlier. We had Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii. That's when I first played it. I bought that day one. I pre-ordered it from GameStop at the time because it was exclusive at GameStop, I believe. And it was part of Operation Rainfall, or was it Moonfall? I forget. They had a couple of those during that time. I think it was Operation Rainfall or Moonfall, or so, you know, I think Moonfall was the other one. I'm not too sure, but the Xenoblade Chronicles came out on the Wii. Actually, when I came home, tried to play, I really didn't get into it at first because I was playing with the shitty Pro controller. Now, the one that looked like a SNES controller, not the better one that they released for the Wii. I didn't, you know, then later on, probably like a month or two later, I tried again, and I just played with this Wii mode and nunchuck, and I got used to that, surprisingly, and, you know, I fell in love with it. The soundtrack, you know, the visuals, not gonna lie, it never looked fantastic. It was always kind of dated, even at the time it came out. But, you know, I thought the English voices added something to it, surprisingly. I think a lot of people thought that too, especially after seeing Xenoblade Chronicles X and their voice actors. I feel like a lot of people were, did they use British voice actors? I thought they used regular voice actors. And then they realized that Xenoblade Chronicles voice acting was freaking good. So the soundtrack's amazing, the story is freaking amazing. Definitely pretty sure I cried. I'm not gonna confirm or deny it in a few parts. Of course, it took me over 90 some hours to beat, so it was like Yakuza 5. It had plenty of money value. You know, if you're gonna buy something, you want it to have money value. You know, you want to be worth your time and money to buy it and play it. You know, a lot of games 12-10 hours, you know, $60. I don't think that's worth it, especially now $70 for PS5 games and Xbox Series X games. Heck no. So, but Xenoblade Chronicles, excellent game. Excellent. Then for number 1, we have Persona 5. Not Royal, I haven't played Royal yet, but Persona 5. Love the visuals, the soundtrack is amazing, love the school interactions. Made me want to try better when I was back in high school because I was a lazy SOB and I just didn't care back then. But, you know, I love the story, the voice acting is amazing. This, you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about this one. I'm not going to talk too much about it because this video has dragged on quite a bit longer than what I wanted to. But, you know, I just can't, you know, this game was amazing. And it's one of the few games back in 2017 that came out. I think 2017 was a solid year for gaming, one of the better years in gaming in a long time because you had this, the Switch came out with Breath of the Wild, which I didn't play Breath of the Wild too much, you know, but I did enjoy what I played of it. What else was there? There was a lot more games that came out. I think a lot of Yakuza games came out then. Was that when it was? Or 2018? I think 2018 or 2019. 2018 was when Judgment came out. But, you know, there was just a lot of good stuff that happened in 2017. A lot of good games. And Persona 5 was my favorite one. I think Spider-Man came out that year, the old Spider-Man for PS4, and that, you know, a lot of people love that one. So I never played it, but, you know, there was just so many damn good games that year, and Persona 5 is one of my favorite games of all time now. You know, there's just so much to do. I think, let me see, I think I'm trying to remember 4 was a little bit better about time management, like you had more freedom, a little bit more freedom to do what you wanted to do. I'm not too sure. I think it did, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's been about 7-8 years since I played 4, so maybe a little bit longer since I played part 4. And part 3, I feel like had the best. Like, you could just keep grinding one day and then do all your free stuff. So I mean, it probably wasn't the best time management wise for leveling up. It felt more cramped, unfortunately, but that's the only problem I have with the game. It was just a freaking excellent. I think it probably deserves to be in number one. I think a lot of these games can be interchangeable as well, as I said in the beginning, but they're excellent games. They really are. So, well, that's pretty much my top 10 games of all time, and I hope you enjoyed, because this list was pretty hard to make. I just wrote down the names. I was trying to go off the top of my head, so if I kind of rambled or sound like I was just stumbling through my words, I probably was, but, well, I hope you enjoyed Dai Gyakusatsu. See, I can't even say my name right half the time. Dai Gyakusatsu out.